Hey everyone, welcome back to Digital Feeds. This little Samsung soundbar costs around $140 and it promises to turn my TV into a mini home theater setup. That's a pretty bold claim, I would say. So I've been testing the HW-B400F for about a week now, watching Netflix, gaming on my PS5, and even streaming music on Spotify. And honestly, it surprised me in a good way. You know, soundbars in this price range are kind of hit or miss. Some sound barely better than your TV's built-in speakers, while others actually manage to sound impressive for the price. So I was really curious to see where this one lands. But before I tell you all about my experience, let's quickly go through the unboxing, setup, and then find out if this budget soundbar is actually worth your money. Alright, let's start with what's inside the box. You're getting just the basics here. The soundbar itself, a power cord, a remote control with two AAA batteries, and some documentation. And that's it. No HDMI or digital optical cable, and no wall mount kit, which is a little disappointing because it means you'll have to spend extra if you need any of those. Now, design-wise, the B400F keeps things simple and compact. It's just over 25 inches wide and has that clean minimalist look Samsung is known for. It fits nicely under smaller TVs like 43 on 50 inches without drawing too much attention. But for my 55-inch screen, I would say it looks a bit undersized. On the bottom, you get these soft rubber feet to keep it from sliding around, which is always a nice touch. On top, you've got physical buttons for volume control, input source, and power. There's also this NFC logo, which I'm gonna talk about in a minute. Instead of using a plastic or metal grill, Samsung went with a fabric covering across the front and top. It gives it a softer, homey look, and I can see why they chose that. It blends in easily with most living rooms and bedrooms. But personally, I still prefer metal grills on soundbars. They just feel more premium, sturdier, and are way easier to keep clean. Fabric, on the other hand, is kind of a dust magnet. And if you live somewhere dusty like I do, you will probably find yourself wiping it down every few days. Also, there's no wall mount kit included, but you can technically use the small holes on the back to hang it on the wall. Just keep in mind no screws are provided either, and the type you need is listed in the user manual. That said, the overall build quality feels surprisingly solid for an entry-level soundbar. It doesn't flex or creak, and the design definitely doesn't scream cheap. So yeah, it may not look luxurious, but it's got that clean, understated Samsung vibe that works in most setups. While I was testing this soundbar and editing this review, I actually used an app that's been super helpful for keeping track of how I spend my time. It's called Timing, and a big thanks to Timing for sponsoring this section of the video and supporting my work. Timing automatically tracks everything I do on my Mac, which apps I use, websites I visit, and even the documents I work on. It offers all that in a clean, user-friendly UI. So when I spend hours testing tech products, writing notes, and editing B-roll, Timing organizes all of that automatically and gives me a clear summary of where my time went. What I love most is that it helps me see exactly where I'm productive and where I tend to waste time, without me having to manually start or stop a timer. You can create different projects for each activity or task, or monitor all of them in one place. Timing offers a few different plans depending on your usage, but if you'd like to try it out, Timing is offering my viewers 20% off through a special link. You will find it right at the top of the video description. Alright, now let's move on and talk about the connectivity options on the HW-B400F. Setup here is super simple. Seriously, anyone can do it under 5 minutes. Just plug it in, connect your TV, and you're ready to go. You've got several connection options: HDMI ARC, digital optical, USB playback, and of course Bluetooth. I tried both HDMI and Bluetooth connections and both worked perfectly fine. Bluetooth pairing with my phone and TV was quick and painless. It supports Bluetooth 4.2, not the newest standard, but it's been rock solid with zero dropouts during my testing. You can also pair your phone easily by just placing it on the top of the soundbar. Remember the NFC logo I talked about earlier in the video? Yeah, that one. It's got built-in NFC that connects a Bluetooth device almost instantly without having to go through any manual pairing. If you have a Samsung TV, integration is even better. You can use the existing Samsung One remote to control it, which is really convenient. And even if you don't have a Samsung TV, CEC support means you can still control the soundbar using your regular TV remote. And that's something I love because fewer remotes mean a cleaner setup. So yeah, in terms of connectivity, the B400F checks all the right boxes for its price. Now let's get to the most important thing, sound quality. For a 2.0 channel soundbar, meaning just the left and right channels with no subwoofer, the B400F honestly sounds better than I expected. It gets plenty loud for a medium-sized room, and dialogue clarity is miles ahead of most built-in TV speakers. Vocals are crisp, clear, and easy to understand even at low volumes. You can also enable voice enhance mode to make speech even cleaner, which is great for movies or podcasts. There's also a decent sense of stereo width. Sound spreads out enough that it doesn't feel like it's coming from one tiny box. Now obviously, without a subwoofer, you're not getting that deep, chest-thumping bass. If you're watching action movies or playing games, you will notice the low end doesn't hit very hard. But Samsung tuned it well enough that it doesn't sound flat or hollow. There's still a nice warmth in the lower mids that gives it some body and fullness. You've also got Dolby audio, which is great to see at this price point. It doesn't have adaptive sound though, that's something usually reserved for Samsung's higher end models. That feature really helps balance out sound effects and dialogue dynamically, so it's a little missed here. Still, for music, it's actually pretty enjoyable. I played some acoustic tracks, a few pop songs, and even some bass heavy beats, and it handled all of them decently well. The mids are clean, the highs are sharp but not harsh, and even at higher volumes, there's no noticeable distortion. For gaming, especially on the PS5, you get a good sense of directionality. Footsteps, effects, and ambient sounds feel well separated left to right, which makes gameplay more immersive. I tried Forza Horizon 5 and Street Fighter 6, and both sounded surprisingly good for a 2.0 setup. So overall, I would say the B400F delivers solid audio performance for its compact size and price. The included remote is simple, but it does everything you need. You can switch between sound modes like standard and surround, toggle inputs, and even adjust woofer level. There are no smart features though, so you can't control it through a phone app or voice assistant. On top of the soundbar, you'll find small LED indicators that light up in different colors depending on the input, sound mode, or the button you press on the remote. It's not a fancy display, and honestly, there's a bit of a learning curve to remember what each color means. Plus, since these indicators are placed on the top, you can't really see them from a distance, which makes me wonder why Samsung chose that location. On the bright side, there's a built-in voice prompt system that announces changes whenever you press a button like input source, sound mode, or night mode. Here's a quick demo.
HDMI ARC, standard, surround.
It also supports USB playback, so if you've got some music files on a flash drive, you can plug it right in and play them directly. So after a week of testing the Samsung HW-B400F, here's my honest takeaway. If you're looking for a simple, compact, and affordable soundbar that instantly improves your TV audio, this one's definitely worth considering. You're not getting cinematic bass or Dolby Atmos style immersion, but for around $140 and sometimes even cheaper on Amazon, it's a solid upgrade over your TV's built-in speakers. It's perfect for bedrooms, small apartments, or even as a secondary TV setup. And for anyone who just wants clear dialogue, better stereo separation, and a cleaner setup without dealing with a big subwoofer or messy cables, this hits the sweet spot. It's not perfect. The lack of an LED display, limited sound modes, and that fabric grille are minor trade-offs. But overall, it delivers what it promises. Better everyday sound without breaking the bank. So yeah, that's the Samsung HW-B400F soundbar. Let me know in the comments what you think. Would you consider a soundbar without a subwoofer, or do you prefer that deep bass for your movies and games? If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Digital Feeds for more honest, no-nonsense tech reviews. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.